Shri Ganesha Sharada Gurubhyo Namaha Ramaya Ramabhadraya Ramachandraya Vedhase Raghunathaya Nathaya Sitaya Pataye Namaha. Welcome to all for this session on Ramayana to chapter 11 of Aranya Kanda. In the previous chapter, we saw Sita trying to convince Rama what is the necessity to carry the weapons in a area where it is supposed to be spiritual practices with peace and a non-violent way. Then Rama replied to her, he is basically not an ascetic. He is living among the ascetics. But at the same time, more important than that is those demons are trying to demonize, they are trying to terrorize the peaceful living sages in the forest, in their hermitages. They are trying to create a trouble for them, and they all those sages came and requested Rama to protect them. And because of that reason, he took the vow that he will going to kill all those demons who are creating terror for the sages who are living in the forest. But then he continued to make certain changes in his lifestyle. We will going to see that he continued to remain in certain hermitages as liked by Sita for her own likings, and he never kills any Rakshasa, any demon without a provocation from them. Walking ahead, Rama was followed by Sita, while behind her came Lakshmana with bow in hand. With Sita, they proceeded further, seeing many hills and plains, woods and enchanting rivers with geese and cranes frequenting their banks, and pools covered with lotuses abounding in waterfowl, and herds of deer, horned buffaloes in rut, bears and elephants, and destroyers of trees. Having traveled a great distance, they beheld as the sun was setting a marvelous lake, some 4 miles in length, carpeted with lotus and water lily blooms, graced with wi- herds of wild elephants, and abounding in geese, swans, and teal. From this enchanting lake of tranquil matter waters, the sound of singing and musical instruments could be heard, yet no one was visible there. Captivated, Rama and Lakshmana began to question a sage named Dharmabhrata, asking him, O great ascetic, this wonderful music heard by us all moves us strangely. What can it be? Be gracious enough to tell us. Thus questioned by Raghava, the magnanimous sage began at once to relate the history of that magic lake. He said, this lake called Panchapsara is always filled with water and was created by the penances of sage Mandakarni. Practicing a rigid asceticism, this great sage, lying in water for thousands of years, lived on air alone. Then the gods, with Agni at their head, became agitated and coming together said to each other, this sage aspires to our state. Thus did they speak, their minds full of apprehension. Then all the gods, in order to destroy the merit of the sage acquired through his penances, sent down 5 of the most beautiful nymphs whose complexion resembled lightning, and though the ascetic was fully conversant with what was good and evil, he was captivated by those nymphs and fell under the sway of the god of love. These 5 nymphs became the wives of that sage, who constructed a secret dwelling in the lake for them. There they live happily, bringing delight to the ascetic, who by virtue of his penances has become youthful. They pass their time in dalliance, and this is the cause of the entrancing music mingling with the tinkling of their ornaments. Such was the strange tale recounted by that sage of pure soul. Conversing thus, the illustrious Rama and his brother visited the circle of hermitages strewn with kusha grass and bark, which were resplendent with the luster of Brahmins, accompanied by Vaidehi and Lakshmana, the descendant of Raghu. Agastya penetrated into the best circle of those lions among men, received with delight and honored by those great rishis. Rama roamed through the silent woods, that great warrior sojourning with ascetics, sometimes for 10 months, sometimes for years, sometimes for 4 months, or 5 or 6 months, sometimes for many months, or a month and a half only, sometimes 3 months and sometimes eight, in this way engaged in innocent pastimes. 10 years passed away. If you observe at this particular point, earlier at the hermitage of Sutikshna, Sri Rama told that he do not want to live in the hermitage of the rishis, basically because he is from the Kshatriya clan. And if he kills the animals in the means of hunting, or if he kills the demons, and those non-violent acts would bring pain to them, and also his long stay in any particular hermitage would attract the demons who would create trouble for them. And at the same time, later, Sita expressed her opinion that she would like to live among the hermits. She would like to live in their hermitages. She wanted to live a peaceful life with them, with ascetic practices. So, in order to satisfy her and also to satisfy his vow, he decided to stay with those hermits in their hermitage, but not for a long time. Instead, he kept moving from one hermitage to another and lived there for only a few months in each one of them. And with that, as he was moving across the entire Dandaka Forest, he could also ensure the protection of those sages. Having visited all the retreats of the ascetics, Rama returned to Sutikshna's hermitage, and receiving the homage of the sages, that subduer of his enemies remained there for a while. One day, as he sat at the feet of the ascetic, in all humility he addressed him, saying, O blessed one, I have heard that Agasthya, that foremost of sages, dwells in this forest, but it is so vast that I do not know where his hermitage is to be found. Where does the retreat of that sagacious rishi lie? By your favor, O blessed Lord, I, my younger brother, and Sita wish to pay our respects to him. Hearing the words of the virtuous Rama, that illustrious sage Sutikshna, well pleased, answered the son of Dasharatha, saying, It was my intention to speak of this to you and Lakshmana, O Raghava, and say, You yourself with Sita seek out Agastya. But now you yourself had proposed it, and it is well. I will now tell you, O Rama, where that great ascetic Agastya dwells. My child, 4 miles from here to the south, you will come to the hermitage of the brother of Agastya, situated in a fertile plain, covered with charming groves of fig, abounding in fruit and flowers, where the song of many birds may be heard, innumerable lakes of tranquil water carpeted by lotuses and frequented by swans, ducks, and geese. Add to this beauty, having passed the night there, you yourself at dawn follow the path through a glade to the south, and there you shall come upon Agastya's retreat. At 4 miles distance, in an enchanting spot planted with lovely trees, this place will charm Vaidehi as well as Lakshmana and you, for this corner of the forest shaded by innumerable trees is ravishing. Should you desire to visit that great ascetic Agastya, then set out today itself. O Prince of surpassing wisdom. At these words, Rama, with Lakshmana and Sita, having made obeisance to Sutikshna, set out to seek the sage Agasthya, enjoying the marvelous woods and hills which resembled a mass of clouds, and the lakes and rivers to be seen on the way. Rama proceeded quickly along the path pointed out by the sage Sutikshna, and full of delight, that magnanimous one said to Lakshmana, assuredly, this must be the retreat of the illustrious brother of Agasthya, that sage of blessed karma that we now behold. Observe how along the woodland ride thousands of trees, bowed with the weight of their fruit and flowers can be seen, and the pungent odor of ripe figs is borne on the breeze. Here and there, heaps of firewood lie with darba grass, the color of lapis lazuli. See also the column of smoke like a plume of dark cloud rising in the forest from a fire freshly lit in the hermitage. Having performed their ablutions in the sacred ponds, the twice born are offering flowers they themselves have gathered. The words spoken by Sutikshna have proved true, O friend. Here indeed is the retreat of Agastya's brother. In this desire to be of service to the world, by virtue of his austerities, that great sage overcame death and set apart his quarter as a place of refuge. Here formerly the cruel demons Vatapi and Ilvala lived, two great asuras who together conceived a plan for slaying the Brahmins, assuming the form of a sage, the pitiless Ilvala, using the Sanskrita language, invited the ascetics to partake of a feast. Preparing his brother disguised as a ram in a dish, he fed the twice born according to traditional rites. When the ascetics had eaten, Ilvala cried out in a loud voice, O Vatapi, come forth! The sound of his voice, Vatapi, bleating like a ram, fearing the bodies of the ascetics used to emerge. Thus, thousands of Brahmins were slain by those devourers of human flesh, who changed their shape at will and were full of deceit. At the request of the gods, the great Rishi Agastya went to the feast and ate up the huge Asura, after which, when Ilvala said, It is well, and offering the guest water to wash his hands, cried out, Come forth, O Vatapi! But as this slayer of ascetics was speaking thus, Agastya, that excellent sage, breaking into laughter, said to him, how can the demon come forth, since I have consumed him? Your brother, in the shape of a ram, has entered the abode of Yama. Hearing that his brother was dead, the demon in anger rushed at the ascetic, hurling himself on that Indra of the twice born. But the sage, blazing with spiritual power, by a single glance consumed him and he perished. This is the hermitage, beautiful by lakes and groves, belonging to the brother of that sage Agastya, who, in compassion for the ascetics, performed that arduous feat. While Rama was speaking thus to Saumitri, the sun set behind the mountain and the night drew on. Duly performing his evening devotions, he entered the hermitage and offered obeisance to the ascetic. For warmly received by that blessed one, Raghava passed the night there, having partaken of fruit and root. And when morning came and the disk of sun was visible, he paid homage to the brother of Agastya, saying, O reverend sir, I salute you and thank you for the peaceful night I have passed here. I will now go and seek out my spiritual preceptor, your elder brother. So be it, replied the sage, whereupon the descendant of Raghu went along the path pointed out to him, enjoying the forest with the innumerable Nirvara, Panasa, Sala, Manjula, Tinisha, Kiribilva, Madhuka, Bilva, Pinduka, Induca trees in full flower, entwined with blossoming creepers, and trees ripped by the trunks of elephants, where monkeys disported themselves and which resounded to the warbling of the myriad birds. When the lotus eyed Rama said to the valiant and heroic Lakshmana who was following him, from the glossy foliage of trees and the tameness of the deer and the birds, we are undoubtedly not far distant from the retreat of the great and pure souled Rishi of virtuous practices. This hermitage that removes all weariness belonging to the sage Agasthya, well known among men for his virtue, with its groves filled with a rare fragrance, its ropes of bark and garlands hanging here and there, frequented by herds of tame deer, the leafy boughs pervaded by countless birds can now be seen by us. Having overcome Mrityu by his power in his desire to go do good to the whole world, he created this inviolate refuge in the south, which is eschewed by demons who fear to lay it waste. From the day that this region was rendered habitable by that virtuous ascetic, the demons have ceased to exercise their hatred and cruelty here. This fortunate land of the south, famed by the three worlds, associated with the name of that blessed sage, is no longer haunted by those wicked beings. The mountain Vindhya, foremost of its kind, that threatened to intercept the rays of the sun, dared not grow higher, submitting to Agastya's command, and this enchanting retreat, frequented by deer, belongs to that long lived one of exalted achievement. The virtuous Agastya, honored by men, who is ever engaged in the welfare of all beings, will, on our arrival, accord us great welcome. I wish to pay homage to that great ascetic personally and to pass the rest of my exile in the forest with him. O mild one, hear the gods, Gandharvas, Siddhas, and the great sages who live on a bare subsistence constantly pay homage to the sage Agastya. But dishonest, cruel, wicked, and perverse men are not able to remain in the presence of that great ascetic. The immortals, however, the Akshas and those of the serpent race, the great rishis also dedicate to virtuous living, dwell here, and fixed in holiness, those exalted beings, discarding their worn out bodies, assuming new ones, ascend to heaven in chariots resembling the sun. There, the gods fulfill the desires of the virtuous, granting them immortality, divine powers, and every degree of majesty. We have now come to the hermitage. O Saumitri, do yourself enter it and announce my arrival with Sita to the Rishi. Thus ended chapter 11 of Aranya Kanda in Ramayana. Namaste Sharada Devi Kashmira Puravasini Swamaham Prarthaye Nityam Vidya Danancha Dehime. Bye.